Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something fundamental, I think. It's this tension between looking successful and actually being successful.
Yeah.
And we've got some amazing sources to guide us. Think ancient wisdom like Aesop, Seneca, all the way up to, well, modern thinkers like Peter Drucker, Jim Rohn, even Bruce Lee, a real mix.
It really is. And, if you boil it all down, there's this one core warning, right, from Aesop. Beware that you do not lose the substance by grasping at the shadow. And we do that all the time, don't we? We chase the shadow, the metrics, the job titles, how things look, the quick wins everyone sees.
Yep.
But the real engine, the thing that lasts, that's character, the internal stuff. That's the substance.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then.
Yeah.
Finding those shortcuts, maybe not shortcuts, but the path to that profound character.
Exactly. Because, like you said, we get so fixated on the scoreboard, the external validation. But what if that scoreboard is, well, lying to us about what's really going on inside?
Right. Okay, let's dig into that. Internal versus external. Starting with Peter Drucker, the management guy. This seems technical, organizational control, but he apparently throws a massive curveball.
He really does. Because you ask anyone, how does a company, an institution, control itself? They point straight to the instrument board.
The dashboards, the KPIs, spreadsheets, all that stuff.
All that. And Drucker basically says, well, that's secondary. Important, maybe, but secondary.
Okay. So what's primary then, if it's not the numbers?
He argues the fundamental control, the real deep control, it isn't quantifiable. It's not in the computers.
It's got to be the people then.
It's the human element, specifically the system of rewards and punishments.
Okay.
Think about it. People do what gets rewarded and they avoid what gets punished. That system, whether it's written down or just, how things work around here.
Yeah, the unspoken rules.
Exactly. That expresses what the organization truly values, its real purpose, not necessarily what's on the fancy mission statement plaque.
So you can have this, disconnect.
Yeah.
Where the company says it values teamwork.
Right. That's the substance they claim. But then they only give the big bonuses and promotions to the lone wolf who hits the highest sales numbers, even if they stepped on everyone else to do it.
Ouch. Yeah.
So the shadow, the reward, is for individual aggression, maybe ruthlessness. But the substance they talk about is collaboration. The system's out of whack.
And the organization is kind of out of control then, because what it rewards doesn't match what it says it wants. The sales numbers might look good, but the culture
could be totally toxic. Exactly. So Drucker's advice is pretty direct. You have to really analyze your rewards and punishments. Make sure good performance, the stuff you say you want, actually leads to the reward.
You want B, reward B. Don't reward A and expect B.
Simple as that. Otherwise, you're just getting what you incentivize, regardless of the posters on the wall.
That's a powerful idea for organizations. And it transitions so well to us as individuals, doesn't it? If company metrics are the shadow.
Then our personal equivalent is all that external stuff, right? Money, reputation, feeling safe and comfortable.
And Seneca, the Stoic, he warns us about relying on that shadow for our confidence.
He does, and this is so important. Seneca basically says, look, even if you're in safe circumstances, financially secure, whatever, if your mind is trained for panic, for worry,
the money won't fix it.
No, you'll just find new things to worry about, like losing the money. Your internal state, your character, that dictates how you react to good fortune, not the other way around.
So the external safety net it's thin if the person standing on it is internally shaky.
Yeah.
Which brings up that famous idea.
The big reveal, yeah. That money or power, they don't really change people. They just amplify what's already there, turn up the volume.
Like Robert Caro said about power, it doesn't corrupt, it reveals.
Exactly. The shadow of wealth or influence falls on you, and suddenly everyone sees the substance or lack thereof that was always inside. So if you're fundamentally disciplined, generous, well, prosperity might let you be more disciplined, more generous.
But if you're anxious, maybe entitled.
Then prosperity just makes you a bigger source of anxiety and entitlement. Which means the real work, the substance we need to build, is that inner strength of character. So you can handle good fortune well. Every choice, every little action, it's like a brick in building this indestructible internal foundation.
So the shadow only ends up revealing something positive you've built.
That's the goal.
That reframes things completely. Stop trying to manipulate the externals, the shadow, to feel okay. Focus on the internal substance so when good things happen, they actually feel good. They validate the work.
Okay, let's shift focus then to building that foundation, our own character. Bruce Lee has a really sharp observation here.
Yeah, Lee points out something fascinating about giving feedback or correction. We obsess over how we say it, right? Crafting the perfect words.
Thinking the outcome depends entirely on our delivery.
But Lee says, hold on. The response you get, it's often less about your action and more about the character of the person receiving it.
Okay, how so? His example is brilliant. Do not correct a fool, or he will hate you. Correct a wise man, and he will appreciate you.
Same action, totally different results.
Totally different. The fool sees it as an attack. The wise person sees it as a gift, a chance to improve. So character determines the response.
Which implies we should maybe spend less time agonizing over our wording and more time, cultivating our own wisdom and figuring out who we're talking to.
Pretty much. Discernment matters, and maybe working on our own ability to receive correction wisely, too.
Good point. And this connects right back to that internal substance being key, which leads to this stark mathematics of responsibility from James Worsham.
Right. Worsham tried to quantify it. He reckoned that in normal times, your success is about 95% down to what you do.
And 95%.
Seriously.
And only 5% is what others do for you, or external factors.
Wow. Okay, that's confronting. Because we probably spend 95% of our worry time on that 5% we can't control, right? The market, the boss, the weather. Exactly. But it's also empowering, isn't it? It kind of strips away the excuses. If 95% is on you, then your life's direction is fundamentally your choice.
Which is where Jim Rohn comes in.
Perfectly. Ron captures the immediacy of that choice, he says. You can't change your destination overnight.
But you can change your direction overnight.
Instantly, that shift in direction, that choice today to work on the substance, that's the character decision that eventually changes the destination. No need to wait for the world to change. You change course now.
That makes sense. Radical responsibility fuels building substance. But then there's this other idea in the source. It's kind of a paradox from Jeffrey R. Holland. If we're so capable, responsible for 95%, shouldn't we be, a bit more loud about it, confident?
But that's where Holland pulls us back from the edge of ego. He says counterintuitively, the more capable we are, the more humble we should be.
Humble.
Well, it's not about false modesty. It's about intellectual honesty. It's what separates real competence from just faking it. True capability understands the limits. It takes the 95% responsibility, absolutely, but it also acknowledges the complexity, that 5% external factor, the stuff you don't control.
So it's like, I'm responsible for steering the ship, for sailing well, but I don't control the ocean or the weather. That requires some humility.
That's a great way to put it. And it reminds me of that ship analogy we saw. A ship safe in the harbor, right?
Yeah, safest place for it.
But that's not what ships are for. They're built to go out, face the risks. True substance, true capability chooses function, chooses the journey, despite the risk. But it does so with humility, respecting the sea, the variables it can't command. That's the balance.
Okay, so internal substance gives you the seaworthiness, the capability.
Yeah.
Humility keeps you realistic about the voyage. And for that internal substance to be really solid, the pieces inside need to fit together, right? Head and heart.
Exactly. That's the goal, isn't it? May your head and heart speak with one voice, getting that internal alignment.
Because when they're fighting, when your mind knows what's right, but your heart wants the easy thing.
That's where consistency breaks down, that internal conflict. It's the enemy of building substance. Achieving that alignment, that integration, that's where authenticity comes from. This idea that you're born to live the life you deserve, to be only one person, and that is you.
You can't be that authentic you if you're internally at war. It's like Drucker's misaligned organization, but inside your own skin.
Spot on.
Okay, this all sounds great. Aiming for alignment, authenticity.
Sure.
But then comes the actual doing. And another piece of wisdom seems to throw a wrench in the works. It says we should set the bar low. That feels like giving up on excellence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The opposite of building substance.
I see why it sounds that way, but it's actually a really practical piece of wisdom about protecting the substance from the shadow of perfectionism.
How's
The full quote gives the context, remember. Today will not be perfect and nobody's going to get out of your way.
right? Reality check.
Exactly. So if your shadow goal is the absolutely perfect workout, the flawless writing session, the ideal conversation, the minute reality intrudes, which it always does.
You feel like a failure and maybe quit.
You lose the substance, which is consistent, imperfect progress. Setting the bar low isn't about aiming for sloppy work. It's about setting a realistic minimum standard for showing up consistently.
So the low bar ensures you make some progress, keep the momentum, build the habit, the substance, even on bad days.
Precisely. It guarantees forward movement. It builds the character of persistence over the illusion of perfection. Which requires wisdom, right? Not like those closed-minded people whose mouths are always open.
Talking about the perfect ideals they'll achieve someday.
Yeah, instead of listening to reality and just doing the work imperfectly today, you need to be open to the day's imperfections to actually make progress.
Makes sense. It's substance over shadow again. Consistent action over the dream of perfect action. And then, underneath all the strategies, the psychology, the sources, bring us back to something incredibly simple. Basic substance.
Yeah, relationships. That one simple line, always love your mother because you never get another.
It cuts through everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It's just a grounding reminder that some things, some connections, they're fundamental. They're the bedrock substance beneath all the systems and striving. They keep us anchored when we get lost chasing shadows like status or career milestones. So when you pull all these threads together, Aesop's warning, Drucker on control, Ron on direction, Seneca on inner state, it really points towards a big shift in perspective for you, for anyone listening. Instead of constantly asking, how do I control the outcome? How do I get the money, the promotion, the external thing, which are all shadows?
We should be asking.
How do I develop the character, the internal substance that naturally leads to the kind of outcomes I value?
It puts the focus squarely back on us. Internal work. Not quick fixes, but that slow, steady building process. So the big takeaway is prioritize substance. Character, alignment, responsibility, consistency. That's the long game and ultimately more fulfilling than chasing the fleeting shadows.
Yeah.
Still, that 95% responsibility thing,
Yeah.
it's tough to swallow sometimes, isn't it? Facing up to the idea that most of our failures are, well, ours.
It's incredibly tough, no doubt about it. But accepting it, really accepting it, that's how genuine substance gets built. And it actually leads to one final thought, a provocative one from Molière to leave you with. He points out that our character, our responsibility, it's not just shaped by what we do, but also by what we don't do.
Okay.
He wrote, it is not only for what we do that we're held responsible, but also for what we do not do.
Missions as well as commissions.
Exactly. So the challenge for you is to think about your character, not just in terms of your actions, but also where are you holding back? What commitments are you avoiding? What substance are you failing to express through inaction? Because that silence, that omission, it's shaping you just as much as any action you take.